Retiring Arizona Senator Jeff Flake had strong words for President Trump Friday. Flake's remarks came at the Politics and Eggs speaker series at St. Anselm College in New Hampshire. He was not only critical of President Trump, but of his own party. Here's some of what he had to say.
When we excuse on our side what we attack on the other, we are hypocrites. If we do this as a practice, then we are corrupt. If we continually accept this conduct as elected officials, then perhaps we shouldn't be elected officials.
People are yearning to be reminded that there can be and should be decency in politics. And people, I think, are increasingly repulsed by, when the president belittles or ridicules those on the other side, or refers to them as losers or clowns, or makes fun of their intelligence. That's not a politics that plays well in New Hampshire, gratefully. I hope it never does.
For more on this, I want to bring in CBSN political contributor Michael Graham. He's also a columnist for the Boston Herald and host of the Michael in the Morning podcast. Michael, thanks for joining us. We just heard a little bit of what Senator Flake had to say. You were at the Politics and Eggs breakfast Friday. What stood out to you?
Well, one thing is the crowd was very mixed. It's not a Republican crowd. It's sponsored by the New England Council, which is a business group, and the New Hampshire Institute of Politics. So there were academics, there were grassroots folks, and there were a lot of business owners there from both sides of the aisle. They were very quiet during the speech. But then at the end, after he talked for 20 minutes or so, they gave Senator Flake a standing ovation. And I was talking to the folks at the IOP, and they said this is very unusual. It's not unheard of, but it's very, very rare. The people I know who go there, they said they've never even seen one. And so the question is, what was it that got these people to their feet? Well, it was Senator Flake's nonstop bashing of Trump and the Trump movement inside the Republican Party. The more he went after Trump, the happier they were. And I think that that's interesting with this group of kind of establishment, money, academic folks in a swing state, or excuse me, in a key early primary state like New Hampshire.
Yeah, absolutely. Very interesting. Senator Flake also called on Republicans to challenge the president, but he did appear to rule out the possibility that he would run in 2020. What's your take on this?
He gave the standard answer, I have no plan right now, I've got 10 more months to serve in the Senate, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I used to run campaigns. He said exactly what I would have told him to say at the time, because you don't want to get too far ahead. But he did call himself a long shot. My question is why, and this is for all the people who are thinking the Republican Party needs to challenge Trump in a primary. When he stands up and says that President Trump and what he's doing is degrading to America, when he says that it's insulting, when he talks about the people who are supporting him as nativists and that they're angry and that they're acting out of emotion, that's the Republican primary voter. President Trump in New Hampshire is doing okay. It's not one of his best states, but he still has 74% support among Republicans, and Republicans tend to vote in Republican primaries. And this is the cul-de-sac that I think, Senator Flake had a funny line about being a unique species, never Trumpus, genus rhino, and that's a great line, but it's a good question. Where do you go to get votes? If your campaign is going to be, I really don't like the people who vote in the Republican primary. That's a challenge.
It is a challenge, indeed. Switching topics now, there have been reports that the president's chief of staff, John Kelly, and his national security advisor, H.R. McMaster, might be the next White House staff departures. Is there a sense that once the latest round of changes are made, things will maybe calm down?
I talked to a bunch of people who cover the White House full time in the last few days, trying to get a sense for myself about what the heck is going on. And what I came away with is that you'll hear 5 different stories from 5 different people around Trump, and nobody thinks they're lying. They think that President Trump is telling them 5 different things. And is that a strategy? I know fans of Trump say this is a way to keep people off balance, and he likes that, and that gives him leverage. People who don't like Trump say this is a horrible way to run any organization. You wouldn't run a Boy Scout troop like this. Okay, Tony, you're in charge. No, I changed my mind. You're not. You don't get to bring the milk, So I will say this. Nothing happens, until it's done, and President Trump can change his mind on a whim, apparently. But it's interesting to me how few people I talk to and my readers and listeners of the podcast they've got this in a separate category. They just don't even care. Their attitude is, tell me what's going on illegal immigration. Are you really going to do something about sanctuary cities? Tell me what's going on with North Korea. Are you going to take them on? They loved it this week when former South Carolina governor, now UN ambassador Nikki Haley, gave those tough words challenging Russia and looking the Russian right in the eye at the Security Council. And that's what has got people energized. I think we in the media, we watch the process.
Yeah.
I think more so than even in the past, this is a low process moment because there's so much policy news to consume.
So this White House musical chairs you don't think is as interesting to other people as it is to us, the media.
Exactly. As long as the chair is there. And I mean, obviously you could do something. For example, I think firing Jeff Sessions, and I wrote a CBS News piece about this a few days ago, that would be a mistake because the base really likes what he's doing. He's focused on the things they want to focus on, like illegal immigration, border security, the opioid crisis. Trump's got a friend there. Don't mess with your friends.
Right.
But it's Donald Trump, so I don't know.
Who knows? Michael Graham in Boston, thank you.
My pleasure.